My name is Rabbi David Pardo, and I am the host of OU Live. Welcome to our show tonight. We're doing a special for the next week, putting on one of these episodes every weeknight, Monday through Thursday. This is a place for inspiration and entertainment, with front row seats to community leaders, rabbanim, activists, experts, people in the news, musicians, and whomever you want. We want to hear from you. Be in touch, please, at oulive@ou.org, oulive@ou.org, or drop a comment in the comment box below if you're watching on the OU website. We have comments set up. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, hit the like button to be in the loop on when the next episode is. Same thing for YouTube. Hit subscribe, hit the bell. Tonight's episode is sponsored by Marla and Stanley Frolinger for the Schus of Collegiate Yisrael. Very thoughtful. Email us if you're interested in sponsoring an episode. We have quite the lineup for you tonight. We're going to hear from a college student who built her own chesed organization overnight. We're going to hear from Dovid Bashevkin. We're also going to hear from Yitzy Spinner. So stay tuned. In the meantime, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome a man who is Einei Yisrael right now on Rabbi Moshe Hauer, who is the incoming executive vice president of the Orthodox Union. He has been the spiritual leader of Congregation B'nai Jacob Shari Tzion in Baltimore for over 2 decades. He is highly emphasized education and Torah and social service in his community. He's a national board member of AIPAC, has prioritized Israel in a strong way. And I'm very excited to soon call him our boss, but we have a lot of questions for him now. Rabbi Hauer.
Hello, how are you there?
Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Hauer, how are you?
Aleichem Shalom, Aleichem Shalom. Nice to see you.
I like your setup a lot better than mine. Maybe you've been doing this for longer. This my setup was set up earlier this week in the basement, in the bunker where we're writing this out. Rabbi Hauer, I'm fascinated to know you have been a shul rabbi. You've been a community leader, you've been a congregational rav for over 2 decades, and you haven't started working at the OU yet, but no one would know. You have shifted gears to a national perspective at a really fascinating time, a scary time of much interest. I'm curious to hear from you what that shift has been like, the local to the national.
This period has been intense for everybody on every level, and it's on the one hand, of course, all of us are filled with concern given the situation, and at the same time, the privilege, I think, that those of us involved in communal work, which I think today includes just about every member of the Jewish people. It's been remarkably an inspiring and unusually intense experience to see the amount of energy and effort and innovation and creativity and a desire to help that have come from everywhere. As you said, David, right now I'm sort of like sitting on a fence in our own shul and community. You know, Baruch Hashem, we have lots of help, but we're all working together. All the staff, all the rabbanim in the shul and all the rabbanim in the community for very serious issues that we have to deal with in Baltimore, like every Jewish city, like every city that has any kind of a population in it has to deal with, and trying to help out on the national level with the Orthodox Union. Alan Fagan, the executive vice president of the OU, has done something remarkable in helping the organization transfer seamlessly through this crisis to be able to completely transform their programs and remain consistent with the programs. And whether it's NCSY or Yachad or JLIC, everything just is going and continuing and serving all its members in a completely different format.
Well,
And
could you actually, that's fascinating to know. Could you tell us, for those of us who don't work at the OU, what the OU is doing differently now during this, during the COVID-19 crisis? You mentioned NCSY is shifted totally virtually. What does that mean? And what are other organizations doing?
well, all the organizations are finding the way to be able to service the populations that they service without being able to have them at a Shabbaton. I mean, NCSY that's his prime season for Shabbatonim, for people getting together. And all of those things, of course, have been canceled. And the same with other organizations which are built to be able to deal with the kids or the students or whatever it is in person, have not forfeited their mandate. They say, okay, we have to cancel the Shabbaton. So, okay, we'll be back when, next time we can do a Shabbaton. No, they're there, like we've seen communities and shuls do, to be able to shift platforms, to be able to hold community together, to be able to service each other at this time in a completely different mode. And on every level, the organization has done it with outstanding leadership. You have to speak about, when you think about OU, the first thing you think about usually is OU kosher, and the tremendous transformation which they have had to experience. Employees now all over being able to work, being able to maintain creative ways to be able to maintain supervision, and the thousands of inquiries which OU is now fielding because of the changes in Pesach plans for everybody in the world, and stepping up to the plate to be able to do that. It's a dramatic thing to witness. The other opportunity that we've had on the national stage is to do what we can on two fronts. Number one, to be able to help shuls to whatever degree we can to hold their communities together. These kinds of tools, like the tools that you're using here tonight, so many shuls have figured out how to take to the airwaves to be able to daven together, even if they're not davening in a technical halachic minyan, but to hold on to community. We're trying very hard with all these new challenges to be able to provide communities with the ability to service their own. It's not the role of a national organization to usurp the role of community or to replace the role of community. Our primary role is to support the community and to be able to help that real in-person community to be able to do its thing. In trying to do that, we get to watch and to see what each community is doing for its own. And it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the amount of energy and creativity which is exhibited.
Could you share some stories with us?
Just look, anybody who's out there, you see the level of programming which people are doing for each other in terms of Torah programming, in terms of these minyanim. We have seen all kinds of fantastic examples of communities binding together to do everything from suddenly shuls becoming grocery stores, to communities creating volunteer efforts to deliver food and provide necessary things for people who shouldn't be going out at all during this time, during this crisis. Every kind of service. There are so many innovative ways that people are doing and creating in order to be able to do it and to provide it. Now, I was just mentioning when we were davening Mincha Maariv together as a shul, that in the parsha that we read today, that we're reading this Shabbos, in Yitzy Hashem, we'll be reading in our homes, most of us, this Shabbos. We read about the fundraising campaign for the Mishkan, and we're told that they came and they complained. The people are bringing, they're too much, it's too much.
It's the most successful campaign in all of Jewish history.
Right. I think for the past 26 years that I've been in the rabbinate, I've made the same joke every year, one time or another, is that was the first and the last time that a Jewish fundraising campaign ever said it's too much.
I think it's obligatory for shul rabbis.
Yeah.
You might have to think of a new one as an executive vice president.
Okay. Well, now we understand it. Because when we think about campaigns, we think about people sending money. And you can always put more money in your bank account. You can always put some away in a fund for the future. But when people are bringing their energies and everybody wants to do something, it can really be overwhelming. The amount of ideas, the amount of desire to do could sometimes make a person stand back and say, you know what, we can't handle it. It's too much. It's too much. We need, the metaphor which I've been hearing very repeatedly over these past few days is like trying to drink from the fire hose, where just too much is coming at you because everybody wants to do, and it's a magnificent thing. And that's one of the things which we are working very actively on, is trying to actually pull from all those many, many amazing initiatives, the best of the best, so that we can share them, so that the ideas that seem to have the best applicability all around will be able to be shared. If I can share with you, David, just one of the most magnificent things is that every day at 1:00, we have a call where there are a few words of inspiration, a few words of chizuk from a congregational rabbi, from one of the rabbis of the country. And we have every day over 1,000 people get on the phone for a 15-minute call for a little bit of inspiration and to say a few kapitlach tilim, a few psalms together. Something we're able to do as a community. It's really, really beautiful, a beautiful and magnificent thing amongst many things that the community is doing to draw together at this time.
That's very impressive. That's very inspiring. It's exciting to see how we're mobilizing. And I keep telling people, I told my wife first, if this had happened 20 years ago, it would be such a different story. I just, the way we're using technology right now, the way my kids are looking into, are staying in their schools, the way people in the community are chatting with each other. It's just, everything happens at the time it happens, right?
Yeah. It's a delicious irony that shuls have been struggling for years with the fact that, those cell phones in shul, they make it so difficult to be able to run a shul. And today, our shuls in our communities for this past week are running because of cell phones. They've suddenly turned into the greatest gift. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem blesses us with things, and sometimes we have to figure out exactly when and where to use them.
Rabbi Hauer, I just want those of us watching, what's one thing you'd like people to walk away with, something they can do, some way they can be part of the effort, some way they can be part of the moment, something they can tell their grandkids about?
I'm not going to answer that question exactly, but something they can tell their grandkids about, excuse me. But what I do want to say is something which I think we have to say over and over and over again. And we've taken to try to say it in 4 words. And those 4 words are: stay home, save lives. With everything which is going on, our primary responsibility is to public health, to the health of our communities, to make sure that we are way ahead in terms of following all of the instructions which are there by the health authorities. And the simplest formula, the answer to 85% of the questions that are thrown our way about should we do this, should we do that, are those 4 words: stay home, save lives. We need to somehow be reducing the circulation of this disease. We're all thinking about Pesach, and on the night of Pesach, there was a lesson which was learned for generations, and that was that the safest place in the world for a person to be is in their house. V'atem lo seitzu ish mi Pesach beiso ad boker. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem said to the Jewish people, Moshe Rabbeinu said to the Jewish people, stay home Pesach night. Stay home, save lives. This is the lesson for us of the pre-Pesach season, that we need to really be attentive to it, not to make exceptions, not to just go for a walk with one friend for a couple of days, to be very, very careful and limited in going out so that we can slow the spread of this. It's there, it's out there, it will be out there, but the public health rules are wise, and we should be at the forefront of adhering to them. And if I can say one more thing, David?
Yeah,
sorry.
We should be the shining example of it.
Absolutely, we should. And so many people, I've heard so many people speak poignantly and properly that this really gives us an opportunity to a little bit rebuild the dynamic within our homes, which is something special. But at the same time, I think we also have to be mindful of something else, And that is that there are many people who don't have company in their homes, who are home by themselves. And a great call of the moment for which everyone can step forward. You ask what people can do. There are all kinds of creative juices producing the most amazing creative programs, which will benefit hundreds or thousands. But where the real action is benefiting one at a time. And if everyone who's listening to this program and everyone who's out there will just take a moment every day to call maybe once a day or once in the morning, once in the evening, to check in with somebody who's home by themselves and spend a little time, relaxed time to check in, to talk, to connect. What an amazing thing that would be. What an incredible thing that would be. Ultimately, we all know that the redemption of the Jewish people is going to come from chesed, from kindness, from our giving to each other. May we see Emir Hashem, a kindness come from above in response to the tremendous, tremendous outpouring of kindness, which is being felt all around us.
Amen. Amen. Rabbi Hauer, beautiful words. And Emir Hashem, till we meet again in person on the other side of this. Thank you for joining us.
Hatzlacha. Thank you very much, David.
Chaim Lamar, thanks for being here. You are on OU Live. My name is Rabbi David Pardo. Thanks for tuning in. We got a great rest of the night lined up for you. Stay tuned for a conversation with Dovid Bashevkin and for music from Yitzy Spinner. If you are tuning in, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you are interested in and who you want to have on the show. We're here for the next week. Email us at oulive@ou.org or write it in the comments. Tag someone you know. Last night, someone tagged Yishai Rebo. We'll see how that goes. The time difference might be a little difficult. I want to thank Marla and Stan Frolinger, who sponsored tonight's episode, B'schus Chole Yisrael. And I want to introduce our next guest, Nicole van, I'm going to say it right. I'm going to say it correctly, Amerongen.
Very close, Amerongen.
Amerongen, of course, the proper Dutch pronunciation. Nicole, how you doing?
Thank God, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm amazing. Nicole, you're a senior at Barnard?
Yeah.
You're a senior at Barnard, and you had a perfect segue from Rabbi Hauer. You had a fascinating, pretty, I'm not going to embarrass you, but inspiring reaction to the COVID-19 crisis. So what did you do?
I was involved in creating the Am Yisrael versus COVID-19 volunteer group. I'm not the only one who started it. I'm working with two other people named Aaron Privin and Ellie Callie, who are helping me. We basically created this dispatching service, to put it simply, where we're connecting people in need, people in quarantine, throughout the New York and New Jersey areas, with people who are healthy, people who are able to walk around, get errands, things of that nature. So we're connecting them and having the volunteers run different errands, things like that for people who can't go out.
So that's wild. How many volunteers do you have working with you, for you at this point?
So the numbers are really like doubling every single day. I think last time we checked, it was around 600 volunteers that we have on WhatsApp groups. Thank God.
Insanity.
Yeah.
Wait, are you running all of this through WhatsApp?
We're running all of it through WhatsApp and email and a phone number that's ringing on multiple phones, and that's it for now.
A Google Voice number.
Yeah.
So first off, it's just amazing that you took like 3 free utilities and are using it to run a 600-person organization, basically, that you built overnight. Just a crazy way to think about things. 600 people. That's wild. And you're running it with 2 of your friends. Also Barnard, Columbia.
Aaron Privin is a student at Columbia. He's actually a freshman. And Ellie Callie is not in school. He's involved with like various different chesed organizations and is just jumping around.
Just very, very good people. And you're running chesed just for people who are quarantined and can't do things for themselves. So can you share some stories from the field? Like what sorts of things are happening? What's out there?
Yeah, sure. So I guess the easiest way to put it is it's kind of like Hatzalah to medical help is like Amish versus COVID-19 to grocery help. It's mostly helping people get food, which is obviously the most important necessity for people who can't leave their homes or don't want to leave their homes, as Rabbi Hauer was saying, like staying home even if you're not necessarily sick, just to avoid if you're immunocompromised or if you have children who are immunocompromised or you're elderly. So we've primarily been helping people in those categories get things like groceries, but we've also been providing people with games for their children if that's something that they need. Even simple things like dry cleaning pickup or coffee orders, things that we just want people basically to maintain the comfort of their lives as best possible. So nothing is too small for us. If you can't leave to get your coffee, we want to get your coffee for
Is
you.
something too big? I'm curious. Like what's
well, people do send very, very extensive grocery lists.
okay.
So we're trying
I
to
want the salmon type of gefilte fish, not the
very specific
schwach.
grocery list, very specific for multiple stores. Things like that are a little bit more complicated, but still we're trying to accommodate that. So as of now, we're trying to accommodate everything that we can.
That's very impressive. Has anything, besides the grocery list, has anything kind of thrown you, surprised you, impressed you? It could be an inspiring story. It could be like a ridiculous story also.
One thing that comes to mind, we have a couple, first of all, just in general, a couple people have reached out to us in the name of other people. So like, let's say there's been a couple elderly people who've had like friends or neighbors who have reached out to us for them without them even knowing, saying like, I know they could probably use some help. One situation that sticks out.
Was that received well?
Yeah. So like in one specific situation, there's a Holocaust survivor who lives in Woodmere. He's 96 years old, and he had someone who reached out to us in the community, and he didn't even know this person reached out to us, but they basically told us that he doesn't have many groceries and that he could really use someone to drop off groceries. So I actually took that call with Aaron and we went to deliver groceries, and he was just so pleasantly surprised, and within a safe distance, he was explaining to us his life story and was telling us how he's so thankful, and just being able to have that experience, and not even from him contacting us, but from someone else who knows he probably needed help contacting us. So things like that have been very inspiring to see.
That's incredible. Do you know of other people, other organizations who've come together and are doing similar work, or other things that are happening out there that we don't know about?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are a few other groups. I'm not sure like what their names are necessarily, but we've just gotten calls from really all over the world and all over the United States about what we're doing and how they could do it. We've gotten calls from England, Maryland, Miami, the West Coast, Australia, like all these different communities that are really wanting to do what we're doing. So there definitely are other people who are doing it. And it's inspiring to see that also, that people are really taking initiative in their own communities.
That's wild. So if someone wants to get involved, someone wants to step up, or let me ask you a different question, because I think you're occupying a very interesting spot in the community. Someone wants to help out, get involved, but isn't ready to join Am Yisrael versus COVID-19. What would you recommend?
I would recommend just keeping your eyes and ears out, honestly, because there's so many different organizations that have popped up and so many different movements. Like I just saw one called Stop the Spread, and it's a spread of Lashon Hara group that has just started for people to take that initiative in their communities. And I think there are a lot of things that people can do from home. Even for us, for our group, if you want to help, there are ways to help from home. We need people taking calls, especially as college courses start again and I have to go back to school. So there are definitely ways to help even from home. And if you want to get in touch with us about helping in any way that you can, even no commitment at all, we have a website up.
Look at that. How do we find you?
It's called coronachesed.org, chesed with one S. That was created generously by Ellie Callie, someone who's on our team with us. So that website will basically take you to all the different areas that we're covering, and will allow you to select which community you want to help in. And you can direct us directly at contact us through those groups.
That's amazing. I was on the phone today and someone said like, what are they saying in the streets? What's the word in the streets? I said, I just don't know. I'm not in the streets anymore. It's not there, but you are. And thank you. So someone wants a coffee or groceries or their prescription medication, how do they get that? How do they meet Nicole or one of Nicole's 600 friends?
So hopefully they've seen one of our flyers, which we're really, really trying to spread around. But if they haven't, they can reach us by either email or phone. The email is amisraelcovid19@gmail, and the phone number is 929J-Chesed, again with one S. So if you call that number or email us, hopefully we'll give you a prompt reply, and then you can let us know how we can help you.
Nicole, I have a question that I know is common on college campus. So what are you studying and what do you want to be when you grow up?
Those are complicated questions for me because I don't really know. I mean, I'm studying neuroscience.
This is where we ask the hard questions. This is the show.
I'm studying neuroscience. I'm going to be graduating in May, Mirza Hashem. I don't know my plans for the future.
Has this experience changed that in any way?
It really has. First of all, it's shown me that there's so many ways to be successful and there's so many ways to be helpful that don't require previous knowledge or previous experience. I've never ever been involved with running or organizing anything, quite frankly. And this just really showed me that if you care about a community enough, you care about something enough, you can create your own ways to help. And that's just something that's inspired me because I don't have to fit into like one thing that's already prepared for me necessarily.
That's wild. Okay. And then the question that's really on everyone's mind, why consistently one S in Chesed?
It's a great question. First of all, a lot of the domains with two S's are already taken. So that's one.
There's so much Chesed, thank God, out there. There's so much Chesed going on that they've squatted on all the websites, all the virtual real estate.
Yep, exactly. And also it fits with the phone number, the right amount of numbers. So all those.
The first letter was J Chesed?
J Chesed.
929.
929. So each thing has like a reference, a hidden reference to Judaism. So
929 is Tanakh.
All the Prakim and Tanakh, right? And then J could be a lot of different things. Chesed, you understand? So a lot of hidden meaning.
So if anybody needs something, the place to go is Am Yisrael COVID-19.
Yes, please come. We want people to be asking for our help. We have a lot of volunteers, a lot of people ready to help. We just need you to contact us if you need help. Nothing is too small. It's not embarrassing to admit that you need help. So please just contact us so we can help you.
Those are inspiring words. Nicole, thank you for doing this. Thank you for stepping up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. You are on OU Live. I'm Rabbi David Pardo. We have an incredible lineup for you. Later tonight, we have Yitzy Spinner. Soon, a good friend of mine. In the meantime, I just want to encourage everybody who is watching on Facebook, like the page so you can find out about future shows. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe, hit the bell. If you have comments, questions, suggestions, frankly, I got too many nice things, too many compliments. I'm looking for criticism. I'm looking for someone, my wife wants some fodder. OUlive@ou.org. In the meantime, I'd like to introduce a friend of mine, Dovid Bashevkin. Dovid Bashevkin is the Director of Education for NCSY. He's the author of Sin Agog, and he is very handy at operating his webcam on Zoom. Dovid, how you doing?
I am phenomenal. I am really
Are you at your peak?
Getting used to this new reality. Kids are asleep and I am ready, and it is an absolute joy to be here with your very cool earbud and your blue background. It's a joy to sit side by side.
Thank you. When we bought the house, I'm afraid that the previous owners are watching. I don't want them to know. I thought this room was like way too blue, and we just never got around to painting it. And now, like,
and
Hashem has a reason.
OU Live and a blue, huge, massive basement is exactly what the doctor ordered.
That's what it is. That's what God has a plan for everyone and everything.
Every detail. Beautiful.
So I'm glad now your kids are asleep and you're finally able to start working. The day's been very quiet, right?
Super quiet. Super quiet. Great day.
You're working on a lot of interesting things. There are a lot of interesting things going on during the day. Could you share with us what when I call you in the middle of the day, what I'm interrupting?
Well, I wear many different hats, but my primary focus has been on NCSY and bringing NCSY virtually. And I think every organization has been tested in transitioning into this new virtual reality. And I think it's been really exciting of what Klal Yisrael, what the world is capable of. NCSY this past week, we had interviews with Rabbi Dr. Akiva Tatz, with my dear friend Charlie Harari, with Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs. We had
Why not your dear friend, Lord?
We're not
Rabbi
there
Don-
yet. We're not there yet.
Okay.
I addressed him that way initially, and he corrected me. He's like, it's actually Rabbi Lord. It's not dear friend, which I appreciated greatly. We're not there. We'll get there. And aside from that, across the regions, all the local programming events, NCSY has shifted online as well, whether it's latte and learning. We have challah bakes going on this week. Every organization, every connection that I'm involved in has really been shifting to this new reality. And it is disorienting. It is exciting. It's doing podcasts and videos with kids banging down the door. It's been a joy.
Have any of your kids joined you on a Zoom call yet?
All of my classes at Yeshiva University have had a cameo appearance of one of my children. That's a guarantee. That's part of tuition. Part of tuition is you get a little bit of FaceTime with baby Zevi or baby Kira, and it's part of the joy of being in my class. Absolutely.
Okay. Are they screaming? Is that part of the deal, or that's bonus?
They're screaming when they can't be on camera. Zevi, we have worked through the process of why I sometimes have to lock my office door, but more often than not, he will come on and I will ask them, and it's actually quite touching. I ask him, Zevi, why don't you have school today? And my 3, soon to be 4-year-old child says in his very sweet voice, because people are sick, which is very, very sweet.
Oy.
He knows, it's endearing, it's touching. This
It hurts.
is
It hurts.
a new world, and like most of the Jewish people, I think it's a reset. When I go into my backyard, it feels like 1992, and when I step out into my living room, it feels like 1892.
I don't understand yeah. Are you going to explain that?
Yeah, in the
Okay.
backyard, it feels like 1992 because it feels like an episode of Home Improvement where we're all kind of talking over the fence. It feels like Wilson is in all my backyards, and we're kind of peering through, seeing from the nose up.
My neighbor and I have a disagreement of which one of us is Wilson. That's actually a real ongoing banter.
And my living room feels like 1892 because it's like before institutionalized organizational Judaism. And our living room is the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And my wife and I, we're the Kohanim, and the children are out there just waiting for the programming, waiting for all of the avoda. And there's something very sweet about the fact that it's setting back the clock. Before there were yeshivas dotting the country, dotting the United States, dotting Europe. Our home is the yeshiva, our home is the dorm, our home is the shul, the Beis HaKnesses, and the Beis Medrash. It feels like 1892 inside of my living room.
You're the it's amazing. You're the Kohen Gadol. You're also the lunch lady. You're also the janitor. You're also the entertainer.
We are everything. I don't wear my lunch lady outfit, though. The lunch lady where I went to elementary school still has a massive influence on my day-to-day life. Shout out
on your fashion sense.
No, not on my fashion sense. I appreciate you asking that. No, on just
clarification.
Think about, you see every detail of what goes into the school system. And I feel like every Shabbos table conversation where people are grunting and groaning about tuition and teachers and this and that, spend 4 days trying to program and uplift, inspire, educate children. And we have a lot to be grateful for, but we also have a lot in this new reality to explore, discover, and then once again be grateful for.
I think a lot of people are finding an incredible amount of respect for teachers that they didn't have before. I definitely see the jokes on Twitter, but I also see I see the I see the difficulty. The truth is my wife's a teacher and the schedule is bonkers because she hasn't stopped teaching, and my kids are, I love your thing about 1892. I don't see it because my kids are on tablets. And
It throws off the analogy.
no, it just, maybe we should just shatter the tablets. Honest to God, if this happened 20 years ago, I don't know what I would do. It would go so south so fast with no technology, with no.
It would be equipped with something else. I mean, I remember, we were kids a little bit more than 20 years ago. And I was able to occupy myself. It was G.I. Joes and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all of the great toys. Was I able to spend 6 hours uninterrupted playing with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with my little brother or my friends down the block? The answer is absolutely yes. And one new toy went a long way. It almost frightens me. Are kids still playing with action figures? I have no idea. I don't know the answer to that question.
Because how old's your oldest?
3, almost 4.
Got it. So my oldest 3 are girls, and there's definitely dolls. There's a lot of dolls. I don't know about action figures. My youngest is a son, and he mostly eats the toys, so it's not worth it to buy.
Action figures were the bread and butter of my childhood, and I hope that my son at some point gets to relive, whether it's now there are Hasidic companies make little menchies or whatever it is.
We have a whole shul. I don't want to tell you what we had to pay for it, but there's the
It's a missed opportunity that you didn't bring it out now and kind of play something for us.
There's time to run upstairs.
It's yourself.
But the men with stramloch, and you can clip the talis on or off, and there's a women's section and a men's section, and there's the mechit. It's incredible.
I have found that everyone now is grasping towards nostalgia, and everything that I've been sharing has been playing up on the nostalgia, whether it's with our music, and it's an absolute honor to be the opener for the great Yitzy Spinner. We've interacted once or no, for real, it's a legitimate honor. My childhood dream was to be a Miami Boys choir, and the music that we're listening to in our house, the games that we're listening to, it's grasping at nostalgia because it feels like we're in a different time right now. It doesn't feel like, I don't know what day it is, I don't know what month it is, and I'm starting to question what year it is.
It's that good.
It's that good.
It's that good. I'll tell you, we've rediscovered family dinner. And family lunch. So that's, I don't know if we rediscovered family lunch. I think that's the first time ever.
A lot of people have been saying that. I wish I could say exactly the same. We haven't quite been, we've reimagined what family time looks like. When you work for a Jewish organization and you're working, whether it's the OU or NCSY or Mishpacha Magazine, Tablet, or any of the different places that I'm dancing in, when you're working and being a content provider, this is actually the hardest time because it's really 24/7. People have this insatiable appetite for content, and it feels at this point like a lot of it is a little bit of empty calories. And what we've been careful.
How so? What do you mean by empty calories? That they're like what their desires are thin?
I feel like when it comes to content consumption, and when you're spending so much time on your phone, have you ever had a bag of potato chips, or for me it's pistachios, and that you're only going to stop eating like 5 minutes or 20 minutes after you're full, and it's gross.
Yeah,
and
Domino snacks.
Yeah, you're just eating it and shoving it into your mouth. And I think in many ways, that's a little bit of the content now. I think that people aren't sitting and reading longer articles, which they should be. They're not, the best moment I had was Tuesday, which was my low point this week. I think everybody could chart out this week like the stock market. What were my low point?
Data-driven weeks.
Tuesday. Yeah, data-driven weeks. My low point was on Tuesday, and I went outside on Tuesday, and I realized that I was way behind on the daf. I was under this misconception that the rabbinic leadership had suspended daf yomi in light of the pandemic. I thought maybe they should do it. I don't know who's listening, but maybe that's an idea.
I'm not 100% sure I'm in the daf. I don't know. I'm not like out of the daf
They
yet.
had
I
not
don't.
suspended Daf Yomi, and before I knew it, I was like 3.5 blocks behind. And I just went outside without, my phone turned on, and I sat outside learning Daf Yomi, and it was the best moment of my entire week. Finding some routine, some long-term project, whether it's Daf Yomi or another learning Yomi or documentary Yomi, whatever it is, finding a routine that you're doing every day to just restore some order in your life and give some structure to your time.
You've kept learning up. That's what I'm hearing.
I've kept a little bit of learning up, and it's not even like I'm learning so in depth. It's because I need that comfort food of that routine, and that's really been it's been an old friend and a close friend, and it's nice to be reunited after realizing that I had neglected it for a day or two.
Ashrecha, Ashreinu, Ashrecha. What have you you've been reading anything recently or learning anything recently that's worth sharing?
I've been thinking this week, and it like tugged at my heartstrings at the introduction to Shmira Shabbos Kehilchasa. I've been thinking a lot about Shabbos recently because last Shabbos, and I'm sure this Shabbos, is eerie for a lot of people. People are heading into Shabbos. I had a phone call with somebody last night who does not really have anybody at their Shabbos table, and they were crying. They were simply bereft of what Shabbos is going to feel like. And I was thinking about the introduction of Rav Neuvert's Shmir Shabbos Kehilchasa, where he points out in this week's Parsha, Vayakel. Am I right? Is Vayakel?
We'll know in a couple of weeks when we make up the whole thing.
He says, he quotes the Medrash that basically says that in the entire Torah, the only mitzvah that is introduced with the words Vayakel is the mitzvah of Shabbos. And the reason why, he says, is because Shabbos is so central to our notions of community. And it feels like now we have to reimagine what that Vayakel moment is. And I had just written in Mishpacha magazine, which is coming this week, that I had the opportunity one time to have a meal with someone who I could call a dear friend, Rav Dovid Lichtenstein, who hosts the Headlines podcast. And we were at his Shabbos meal. His Shabbos meals are extraordinary and extravagant. They're wonderful. And there's all sorts of wine and meat and food, everything around the table. And we were singing the Zemer of Baruch Kel Elyon, and he turned around, he stopped the meal, and he says, why do you think Shabbos is described Mincha al Machavas? Why do you think we're describing Shabbos as a mincha? The Karban mincha is the weakest, most impoverished Karban that we have. Why don't we describe Shabbos as like a more glorious, more wonderful Shabbos? You look around this table, he had the Shemay ale, which I'd never drink an ale before. He had these fancy wines.
Wait, you've had ale? Lichtenstein serves ale?
Before Dovid Lichtenstein's house. He had all this wonderful stuff. And he said, why do you think we describe it as a mincha? Shabbos should be something far more opulent, something far more wonderful. And he looked around and he said, I want you all to know something. My Shabbos table did not always feel this way. It was not always like this. There was a time when I did not have a lot of money. I couldn't afford to have guests. I couldn't afford to have fancy food. It was much more simple. It was much more interior. The focus of Shabbos wasn't on the glory necessarily, but it was almost on that smaller mincha al machavas reality. And what he told everybody around the table was that we need to be able to have the capacity to discover the warmth of Shabbos, even in those machavas moments. And when I read the introduction of Shmir Shabbos Kehilchasa and speak about the Vayakel component, the communal component of Shabbos, I realize that there's a mincha al machavas, there's a simplicity and a interiority even to the way that we gather as community. And I think many people around the world are going to be feeling that and experiencing that this coming Shabbos. And I hope we're able to both discover and cherish that mincha al machavas reality that I think so many of us are approaching.
David, those are beautiful words. Mincha al machavat. we can take away with us. Dovid, thanks for joining us. Dovid, if people want to find you, like the 3 people who don't know who you are, they want to find you online.
Please.
Where do they
Please,
find you?
Yes, please. I'm a frequent tweeter. You can find me at DBash Ideas. You could go to the NCSY website where we have all of our virtual programming. You could find me in the pages of Mishpacha Magazine on Tablet Podcasts.
Is there a
and
book
over
that
here
we
on
could pick
OU
up?
Live. What's that?
Is there a book anyone can pick
Oh
up?
my gosh.
Lord,
There is a book. What is it right here? No, you didn't. It's right over here.
is that my signed copy?
Oh my
At
God,
long
now you
last?
signed copy, and you may never get one. My
We
book
may
is
never see each
available on
other in person
Amazon.
again.
This has been such an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me, creating, and hopefully we'll be participating on this wonderful program.
Amazing. Dovid, thanks for coming. Have a good Shabbos.
My pleasure. Have a great Shabbos.
You are on OU Live. My name is Rabbi David Pardo. It's been an awesome time together. I want to thank the Frolinger family, Marla and Stan, for, hey, Yitzy, for sponsoring tonight's show. If you are tuning in, if you're watching on Facebook, hit the like button. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe and hit the bell. If you have thoughts, questions, comments, suggestions, oulive@ou.org, or drop it in the comments down below. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome Yitzy Spinner. Yitzy, how are you?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you holding up?
We're doing well. Welcome to the principal's office and the gym and every other schoolroom all wrapped in one. It's been
Is also the Kodesh Kodashim, because Dovid is the Kohen Gadol in his house.
well, then we'll leave that for his house. No, we're just everyone here is a hedyot, but we're all proud to be.
Okay, listen, we all serve our roles. No Kohanim in this house either. We're not that lucky.
Absolutely.
Tell me what's new? What's life been like in the
Life has been interesting. You know, everyone has their own version of what life is, almost hour to hour, minute to minute, day to day, depending on your what's going on. From people who are on their own to people who are trying to figure out with their kids. For us, it's been a lot of creativity, trying to keep everyone entertained and organized, running tech support. The school system here has been really tremendous in keeping the kids educated and just entertained, and just everything that they've been doing is really, really wonderful, which is great for the kids. There hasn't been as much for the adults, which is just tremendous that you've been able to put this program together. OU really understands that after hours, adults need a little bit of stimulation as well, and this is a great place to be. So thank you for having me, and thank you for enabling this to be.
Well, it's that much warmer that now that you're here, and thanks for the kind words. Please, I see a piano.
This is my piano. This is my baby. One of my babies. I've never asked. Do musicians nickname pianos? Is it like race cars? I don't know.
Not you.
I guess some do. I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I never did. It's just my piano.
It's your piano.
It's just
I would be so honored if you would if you'd break the piano out and share some music with us.
I would love to. I would love to. So I'll share a couple little things. So Shabbos, this Shabbos is going to be weird. I can't think of another word to really describe Shabbos other than weird. It's almost uncomfortable and awkward to not go to shul, you know, especially when, like as a professional chazan, my life is Shabbos morning. I wake up early. I'm up before 6 every Shabbos morning because I got to get my voice in shape. I have to just make sure I'm awake and fed and hydrated. And then this Shabbos is just not. Last Shabbos was not. And we struggled here in the Spinner home trying to figure out how to make Shabbos and make it feel like Shabbos, and even more importantly for us, make it sound like Shabbos. So we had a Kabbalah Shabbos right here at the piano. We had I think about 1,000 people joining with us, which was pretty incredible.
Was that the largest Kabbalah Shabbos you've ever played?
It was definitely the largest Kabbalah Shabbos I've ever played on social media. Yes, I believe it was the largest gathering I've ever had for Kabbalah Shabbos, which is pretty cool. A friend of mine commented on social media that it was both the most inspiring and depressing thing at the same time. That's what we have now for Kabbalah Shabbos. But you know, we're all coming together. We're all trying to make
It's those times. It's everything is the opposites. It's the saddest, it's the happiest, it's the eeriest, it's the most beautiful.
I think it's what you make of it. I think it's really just what you make of it. So we sat here and we sang our Shabbos songs without everybody else, without the whole community. We sang it of our own community of 5 here in the Spinner home. So one piece that I love singing, I do in concert repertoire. I do it in shul, but when I do it in shul, I don't have a piano. But now I have a piano, so we'll imagine we're all together. Anybody who's out there, please feel free to join. I know it's always a crowd favorite for a Shabbos morning davening, but it's a treat for me to be able to sing this with other people with piano as well. So I hope everyone out there at home will enjoy and sing. If not, just enjoy and listen.
Incredible.
It's a little weird on a Thursday night after a full day of school, no less.
What do you mean? This is oh my God. Shmir. What is it? What was it called in yeshiva? I'm not that old.
Mishmar?
Mishmar.
Mishmar.
Shmira. Shmira is when you have your gun and you're walking around. That's a different
Totally
thing.
different.
The different.
Totally different.
Yeah, it's Mishmar. I assume everyone at home has their cholent ready by now. Otherwise, it'd be a big busha.
We do not have a cholent ready yet. Tomorrow, this house in Yitzy Hashem will have the aroma of fresh challah. Cholent, not really. The cholent really doesn't fill the house until Shabbos morning. It's more chicken soup cholent mix before Shabbos, and then you wake up Shabbos morning and you open that door and you just get, punched in the face by that fresh cholent. That's what I look forward to.
A Heimish scent.
Heimish, yes. Heimish is the best.
It's like a schmeck. I want you to know I was singing along. I just muted for your benefit and for all the listeners.
Thank you. Thanks for doing me the favor. I appreciate it.
That was very beautiful. We have a minute.
You have a minute?
Have a minute.
I'll give you 1 minute of something that I was actually just sitting at the piano earlier today, and I don't know where this song came to, how this song came to me, but it came to me, and I started, and my wife started singing along. I don't know where she knows it from. I don't know why it came into my head, but here's where it was.
Oh wow.
I am an ancient wall of stone, atop a hill so high. Remember this one? Oh, I love this. This takes me back. And if you listen with your heart, you just may hear my cry. Where has the pace of I stand here all alone. How long am I to wait for all our children to come home? Together, stood by our Sinai, my daughters and sons, forever. You must stand together forever as one. You have to check this song out. It's from, I had to look it up to see where it's from, The Marvelous Midos Machine.
I know, my sister's gonna kick me. Thank God she lives in Israel, so I have several hours till she wakes up and kicks me. I don't know. I didn't know how it starts.
Yeah, but once you hit the chorus, just there you go. Look at that. It brings you back.
Yeah, it really does.
That's amazing. So I have to work on that song. I have to really internalize the song over 30 years of absence from my brain, and kind of just relearn it the way that it was. It's in my head from camp, from when I was little, when it was just a nice color war song, but there's so much meaning to it, both from a musical side and from a lyrical side, that I really just have to.
Does relearning it mean relearning the original, or does it mean putting your imprint on it as a musician?
It means understanding the song. When I learn a song without really understanding it, I'm just learning lyrics for camp, for color war, so that I can yell them as loud as possible so I can get 4 points for my team. I never dug into the lyrics and what they meant. It was just about knowing the next word. But there's really a lot of depth to that. I don't know who wrote the lyrics. It may have been A.B. Rottenberg. I know he was involved in writing the music for Marvelous Midos Machine, but there's so much depth to this song. Musically, I'd love to maybe do a cover of it, something. I don't know. I have to let it sit with me a little bit.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that. To our listeners, you heard it here first. Incredible. Yitzy, thank you. For those of everyone watching wants to hear more, where do they find you?
You can find me. I'm on social media. Yitzy Spinner. It's YITZY SPINNER. Look for me there. Look for me on YouTube. And when you see me in the street, when we get past this, come on over and say hello.
Amazing. Sounds good. Thanks for joining us. Have a beautiful Shabbos.
And you as well. Thanks so much.
All right. Everyone, thanks so much for joining. This has been OU Live. This is the second installment. I'm Rabbi David Pardo. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think of the show. I want to get some feedback and some suggestions. We have a very cool lineup for the following week. We have some spots open. If there are people you think should be on the show, please let us know. Our thanks again to the Frolinger family, to Marla and Stan, and what they had in mind, the schus of the Refuah Shlema, Chol Yisrael. We're all davening together, and there's so many things that we could be doing even from our homes. In the meantime, this has been OU Live. I'm Rabbi David Pardo, and have a beautiful Shabbos.